The mist hung from the branches of the ancient trees like threads from a tattered banner, though the last vestiges of sunlight still glimmered on the horizon. Conor Mac Nir shivered atop his horse and tugged his cloak securely around him, then regretted the show of nerves. He had already seen the disdain in the eyes of the king's men sent to escort him. There was no need to give them reason to doubt his courage as well. A weathered, scarred man on a dun stallion made his way from the back of the column and fell in beside him. Lavras Amoyna, Conor's foster father.
"It's too quiet,"
Lavras said, his gaze flicking to the dark recesses of the forest.
"The animals have gone to ground. They sense the unnatural. Keep your eyes open."
The 20 warriors quickened their pace, battle-hardened hands straying to their weapons for reassurance. Conor gripped his reins tighter. Now he understood the comfort a sword brought. Not that it would be of any use to him. He would be no help against dangers of the humankind, let alone whatever lurked in the mist. He felt no relief when the road broke away from the trees, revealing the first glimpse of Glenmallag's earthen ramparts and the stone dome of the keep within. The mist had already found a foothold, wreathing the top of the walls and giving the impression they stretched unendingly skyward. The moat's stale waters lapped at the base of the walls. Glenmallag made no pretensions about being anything but a fortress, solid and impregnable.
"Steady now,"
Lavras murmured. Conor drew a deep breath. Few knew how much he dreaded this homecoming, but Lavras was one. Other men might have taken the honor and considerable financial rewards of fostering King Golbreth's son without a thought to the responsibility it entailed. But Lord Lavras had raised him as he would have brought up his own child. By contrast, the king had not shown a shred of interest in Conor for his entire 17 years. He swallowed hard and tried to disappear into the folds of his cloak as the drawbridge descended toward the bank. The leader of their escort gave a terse signal, and the procession lurched forward amidst a thunder of hooves on timber. Conor shuddered as he passed into Glenmallag's courtyard, a wash of cold blanketing his skin. Too cold, considering the fast-approaching spring. The carts carrying Lavras's tribute to the king clattered across behind them, and the bridge once again crept upward. Inside the courtyard, wood smoke and burning pitch drifted on the air, stinging his nose. It should have been a welcoming vignette, but the orange firelight only cast the mist-filled courtyard in a sickly yellow glow. Conor cast a glance over his shoulder just as the drawbridge thudded shut, sealing off the life he'd left behind him. Foolish thoughts. Conor shook them off as he dismounted and winced at the twinge in his muscles as they adjusted to solid ground. A hand on his elbow steadied him, the iron grip incongruous with its owner's graying hair and finely lined face.
"Home at last,"
Dolan said under his breath, a tinge of irony in his voice. More than merely a devoted retainer, the manservant had become a friend and confidant over the 9 years of Conor's fosterage at Ballernan. Dolan knew better than anyone the fears Conor's return stirred within him. A pale, skeletal man descended the steps of the double-door entry, headed for the captain. After a moment of quiet conversation, he strode in their direction with a cautious smile. Conor squinted, then drew a sharp breath. The last time he had seen Marcon, the steward of Glenmallag had been in the bloom of good health, commanding the household with a mere word. Now his clothing hung from a gaunt frame, and shadows marked the pale skin beneath his eyes. Surely the mere passage of time couldn't have effected such a transformation.
"Welcome, my Lord Conor,"
Marcon said with a bow, his voice as calm and capable as ever.
"Your old chamber has been prepared for you. Come."
Dolan gave him a nudge, and reluctantly Conor followed Marcon up the front steps into the great hall. Torches threw flickering light on the cavernous room, from its rush-covered floor to the curve of the ceiling, though they could not quite dispel the shadows at its apex. Conor's gaze settled on 4 unfamiliar men standing before the dais that held the king's throne. From their elaborately embroidered clothing, he guessed 3 of them to be lords of the realm,